Welcome to Echoes of Uncertainty. I'm your host, Ubi, and this is episode 3. I received so much great feedback about episode 2 and the conversations it incited around identity and who you are, and identity being a feeling versus a construct. And I really appreciate and love getting feedback from those of you who listen. And I really think it's helpful as we find found, or as I navigate being lost and looking for found, hearing that these musings are resonating with the listeners. And that means a lot to me. So thank you. And speaking of giving thanks, last week was Thanksgiving and officially kicked off the holiday season. And Thanksgiving looked different this year for me. I stayed home, I didn't host, I still very much cooked, but the tradition of being with family was altered this year. It was changed. And I think I really needed that. As my sabbatical is winding down, I've been taking the last 2 weeks to really think about what are holiday traditions, how have they evolved in my life in the last 5 years, and what might they look like going forward. And I have been reading this book, and there's this quote that said, "If I understand it, then I can control it." And I think through my echoing my uncertainty, I'm really looking to grasp control of the things around me. And I'm finding more and more, I just might have to give up the reins and allow myself to be on the journey, because being on the journey might help me find found. I'm not sure. But what do you think? And so leading back into that Thanksgiving and Thanksgiving culture, holiday culture, what are your Thanksgiving traditions? And what does Thanksgiving look like for you? Is it stressful? Is it super chill? Do you watch the parade? Do you watch football? Do you start watching Christmas movies? What does Thanksgiving Day look like? I had many people ask me if I watched the parade, and I literally took it was probably the third person asking, and I was like, "There's a parade today?" Yes, of course, the Macy's Day Parade. How silly of me to forget. The official kickoff to the Christmas season. But when I think of Thanksgiving, it's really about the food. What do I get to cook? How do I get to put together a menu or even a day of cooking schedule? There are so many things to plan. And I'm finding, look, see, I'm finding things already. I'm finding that I really enjoy the planning process. Don't ask me to execute on the plan. Someone else can execute on the plan, but let me make the plan for you, and it will be great. So going back to food though, I love cooking. Like this Thanksgiving, I made mashed potatoes and I made some stuffing from scratch. I'm not gonna lie, the stuffing was a bust. It was too bready, and that's a lesson for next time. I'll use half as much bread. But mashed potatoes, all right, this is a question for all of you listeners. Do you use a ricer to mash your potatoes? I used a ricer for the first time, and it was a game changer. I don't know if I can go back to good old mashing because the ricer just makes it so smooth. If you don't know what a ricer is, I will link that in my show notes. And then also, my partner made a caramel apple pie. Apple pie, outstanding. Caramel, burned. I didn't really know you could burn caramel, but do you know what happens when you burn caramel? It gets bitter. It is not sweet. And so there was many cooking lessons learned, and I do pride myself as a fairly good cook, and we definitely had some misses. And so I'd love to hear your Thanksgiving cooking fails, because I think there's a lot of pressure for perfection or when it comes to Thanksgiving cooking, and that's not the case a lot of times. Also, Friendsgiving. I love the concept of Friendsgiving. I always have. But I've noticed the older I have gotten into my 30s that there's less and less Friendsgiving festivities. And so I'm curious, have you experienced less Friendsgivings? Are you are you still going to them? Do you have an annual one? Like how has that changed as you've gotten older? Is Friendsgiving mostly for the young? I don't know. And so I'm curious your experience. And then lastly, and certainly not least, is the evolution of tradition around Thanksgiving. When your family gets together, do you have family friends there too? And I think as these generations continue and traditional family values are continually questioned or begin to be questioned, I think Thanksgiving in the future will look very different. It'll be more friend inclusive. Or maybe your Thanksgiving already is friend inclusive and I'm late to the game. That's possible too. Did anyone else notice how early Black Friday sales started? I read in an article that I'm not going to link because I don't know if I could link it or find it again, but because Thanksgiving fell so late on the calendar, retailers were going to have a hard time shipping everything for the holiday season. So that is why so many sales started early. And I found that really interesting as I don't plan my holiday shopping around when things can be shipped. Did you do any holiday shopping over Black Friday, Cyber Monday, Giving Tuesday, Small Business Saturday, Travel Tuesday, Sweeping Sunday? I just made Sweeping Sunday up. uh, Turkey 5. We'll call it that. The big shopping days, Turkey 5. And is that typically when you start your holiday shopping? Or are you going to tell me, Ubi, I planned out my gift 6 months ago? I'm good. Because that is not me by any stretch of the imagination. What are some of your holiday traditions? I try to decorate the inside and outside of my house as early as I can in December because come the day after Christmas, everything will be taken down because it's time to get ready for January. And January is birthday month, and birthday month cannot be tarnished by Christmas. Which leads me into a thought that I have been chewing on for the last couple of weeks since episode 2. For me, there's something about Thanksgiving as an ending and December as a beginning, almost as if my new year starts December 1st. And so I'm curious if anyone else has experienced this or has their own internal calendar reset of, hey, actually, June 1st is when my new year starts. Or if you follow our calendar and it's end of December to January 1. I will be interested to know if you're thinking, Ubi, you're an odd duck, and the new year starts in January, and that's that. I think I've been overthinking the culture of Christmas, and this has stemmed from a giving exercise I did through the United States Post Office. You can adopt letters that children and families have written to Santa. It's called Operation Santa. And so I spent many hours reading these letters from families to Santa to figure out which one I wanted to adopt to send gifts or Christmas wishes to these families. Very similar to Toys for Tots or an angel tree. Uh, I saw an advertisement for it when I was shipping a package off to family, and I was like, this is really cool. But the exercise itself wasn't. It was not really cool. It was honestly really heartbreaking to just read the wants of these families because they stretched from these massive lists that these kids were asking for that asked for everything from a PlayStation 5 to a hoverboard to I don't know, Legos, Roku's, Roblox. I'm not sure. Many things, many high-tech things to kids asking for some blocks and then saying, hey, could you also send my mom some new shoes? It was a really wide birth of things people were asking for and putting a lot of faith in Santa. And that was, I mean, it was sad, it was humbling, and it also was, I guess, empowering to be able to do a little bit to bring joy to strangers. And so looking at the culture of Christmas, what is Christmas all about? Is it about giving? Is it about receiving? Is it about magic in the air? I'm not sure. Or I should say, I'm not sure from a holistic standpoint. I think for me personally, I much prefer the giving aspect of Christmas and trying to create magic in a society that is inundated with social media. And I think social media kind of takes away a little bit of the magic. I want to know what you think about the holidays and what do you think about the culture of Christmas, and how do you keep Christmas magic alive? And what traditions do you share with you and yours over the holiday season? I, today, or at some point this week, I should say, I am going to go thrifting for a new Christmas vest, and I'm very excited about it because I hope to find, it's not even about finding an ugly Christmas vest. It's much more about finding someone's much loved Christmas vest that they rocked, whether in a classroom, at an office, or maybe at many happy holidays. I do love the pageantry of Christmas. All right, I'm going to close off this episode because I think I'm rambling at this point. Please hit like, hit subscribe, share with your friends if this resonates with you, and like, hit subscribe, and share even if it doesn't. Once again, this is Echoes of Uncertainty. I'm your host, Ubi, and I'll talk to you next time. This has been a production of Thrive 35 EP. Echoes of Uncertainty is recorded in front of live cat audience. Special thanks, Daniel. Echoes of Uncertainty, Episode 3.